What's up, guys? My name is Justin. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are back on Gran Turismo 4 for another car story, and today we are back in another concept car. This is the Audi LeMans Quattro concept or something of the sort. It's got a very long name, but those of you that are car fans, but not super deep car fans, will probably recognize this as an Audi R8. And this concept car came out in, I believe, 2003 for probably the Paris Auto Show, because everything seemed to come out for the Paris Auto Show back in the day. And it was kind of a show of what Audi could do if they were to make a supercar or a halo car. They did like what would become the Audi Q7. They did some other concepts that didn't make production, and this was kind of their supercar. They developed a bunch of new innovative stuff like the LED headlights that you see here, a version of which made it onto the real car, and plenty of other things. So I figured what better place to take it for a car story than, of course, its namesake, LeMans. So let's fire it off, and then we'll start to talk about it. So yeah, pretty special, pretty interesting car. Obviously, a lot of the elements of this car made it to the Audi R8. Some did not. But this car is pretty famous in a later concept version. There were a couple different concept versions of this, but this car was famous for being Tony Stark's car in Iron Man. I don't remember if that was a production version or a pre-production version, but basically the same thing. It was basically this, but a little more developed. But anyways, this car was called the Audi LeMans Quattro concept, whatever the heck. And it basically was Audi's idea of what a halo car would be. And the reason that this car is notable is because it did not have a name at the time. It was just called the Audi LeMans Quattro concept, whatever. But this car would end up, of course, becoming the Audi R8, which had like a 15-year run as kind of Audi's halo supercar. Originally came in V8 and then later V10 models, for a while both. But I think this is absolutely a gorgeous car. It's a stunning car. It's probably the most notable Audi ever made, I would think. I'm probably thinking short-sighted as someone that's less than 30 years old, but nonetheless, it's a pretty incredible car, pretty special car. And yeah, the reason they named it the Audi R8 is because the Audi LMP Daytona prototype, whatever endurance race car of the era, the early 2000s, from 2000 to like 2005, was called the Audi R8. Why it was called that, I have no idea. It came after two different Audi prototypes, but we'll talk about those in another video because I do plan to do one of these with the Audi R8 race car. But anyways, they decided after that car's success in racing around the world, and especially here at Le Mans, that they were going to call this new supercar, when put into production, the Audi R8 in its namesake, and kind of in honor of it. So that's a pretty cool tidbit, pretty cool quirk, and obviously everybody knows this car is the Audi R8, but a lot of people don't know that this is technically the second Audi R8, or what would become the production car, because the race car came first. So yeah, a lot of people don't know that quirk about this car. Again, some differences between this and the road car. The rear center exhaust is a little bit different. Again, we talked about the headlights. Although they were LED, they were only kind of LED strips and still had halogen turn signals and stuff. So a couple different weird quirky features made it onto the production street car, as I'm going to overdrive the balls out of Malzahn corner there, but technically we just about made it, just dropped the wheel. But yeah, a pretty cool car, pretty special car for sure. A unique car, even by today's standards, and it even looks modern today. It's been nearly 20 years since this car entered production. I believe it entered production in 2006 or 2007, somewhere in there. But even today it looks modern, and again, it's one of those cars where you could probably find an early V8 car, although they're not the most reliable things in the world. I mean, neither were the early V10s, to be fair, even though they were on the Gallardo platform. But one of the most recognizable cars ever, as I send it through a sand trap, one of the most recognizable sand movers ever, apparently. But even today, again, this car looks modern. You see these around town from time to time, in at least central Wisconsin. And you know that that's probably a car enthusiast, because they're not crazy expensive, but they're not an everyday car by any means. There's a couple that live semi-near me. And you know that they're car people, just because, you know, anyone that cares about this car, this 20-year-old Audi, whatever, is a car person. Modern people, you know, you buy a Porsche for the same amount of money. You buy, you know, a 991, you know, Carrera 4, or you know, something else along those lines, or a Mercedes AMG GT, something like that. Like, only car people really care about, at least in Wisconsin, the Audi R8. And so it's a pretty special car, pretty unique car. Again, it's a very good sounding car, especially in V10 variety, but even V8, because back at this time, you know, mid-2000s, European car makers didn't really do performance cars with V8, certainly not supercar. That wasn't really a thing. You either went, you know, V10 or V12, depending on if you were a Ferrari, Lamborghini, whatever. You didn't really see a lot of V8s coming out of Europe for, you know, high performance cars. That was really more of an American thing. And so it sounded very good. It was a very cool, very special car, but obviously some bits of this, so I'm going to just absolutely flub that up completely. Some bits of this were very cool and very unique. Some bits of it didn't age that well, but still very cool, very special car, and definitely something that's cool to have in Gran Turismo 4. So we might as well do another lap. What the heck? Why not, right? So yeah, 416 is not great. I have no idea. It is what it is, I guess, whatever. But again, very cool car. Love to have it in the game. Again, if I won the lottery, there are a lot of cars I'd have before this, but again, if I won the lottery, I'd probably have one of these because I have, you know, a gazillion dollars to play with. And again, I've talked before on the channel, cars are my only passion. I mean, when it comes to finances and stuff, like, the only thing I care about is being able to afford some dream cars someday. That's literally it. And this isn't high on the list, but it's definitely on the list. I would love to have an Audi R8 someday. Again, money no object, but definitely a cool car. I think it's very appropriate to bring it here to LeMans, kind of the original concept car namesake. I don't know why they would have called it that as a concept, to be fair, because at the time that this car came out and was the concept, again, 2002, 2003, in that range, the Audi R8 race car was already in existence, was already dominating, and obviously Le Mans is a very generic term that doesn't quite encapsulate the entire, you know, kind of sports car prototype realm. So not exactly sure why they would have called it the Le Mans over the R8 at the time, but obviously by the time this car was ready for production, the R8 was getting ready to be replaced by the Audi R10 diesel, and then subsequently the R15 diesel and the R18 diesel, and so on as we went the next decade or so. And they decided to name it after, to that point, their most successful race car ever. Probably is still the most successful race car that Audi's had, the R8. But yeah, not sure exactly how the naming came about for that, so if you know, I'd love to hear it down below. So yeah, we're just going to chase the ghost here. We got about a half a lap to go. Might as well finish it out at this point because it's such a good sounding car. And it is a pretty fun car to drive, actually. It handles quite well. And I'm not sure if this is the V8 or the V10. I don't know the engine platform that was in the concept. These were all, well, I shouldn't say they were all four-wheel drive. All the V10 cars, I believe, were four-wheel drive, but not all the V8s were four-wheel drive. And these started out pretty cheap. When they came out and they were new, they were like somewhere between 80 and 100 grand, which was incredible bargain, incredible value for, again, a top-level performance car and a supercar in some sorts from, you know, the mid to late 2000s. That was incredible value. At the end of the run, just a couple years ago, though, the base was more like 130, which is not expensive still, but definitely is not cheap in the same way that this car was when it was brand new, 80 to 100. So they kind of got away from the, you know, budget Halo, Audi, Halo car, special supercar thing. As time went on, just became, you know, basically a cheaper Gallardo and a cheaper Huracan, basically, is what it became. But still a very interesting car, a very cool car, a very special car, in my opinion. So just about a minute 20 here to go to finish up this lap. We're an hour ahead of the Ghost now that I've made slightly less mistakes on this lap than I did on the previous one. We'll see if we can avoid going off into the Porsche S's. And if we can stay on the track in the Porsche curves, we'll probably have, I don't know, 410. We'll probably make up a little bit more time, maybe not 6 seconds, but roughly 410, 412, somewhere in there. So quite a pleasure to drive. Again, I know that this car is quite popular with a lot of people my age, so definitely felt like I had to do a good video on this one and highlight what a special car it is, and again talk a little bit about the concept, because a lot of people don't know about the concept or aren't familiar with the concept and what it is, what it stands for. So we are just over 6 seconds up, so maybe if I can not slide all over the place like my socks are wet, then I can get through these last couple of corners and maybe be sub 410, which would be pretty cool. Seemed like a decent Porsche curve section. Can't see behind there. I can't see my Ghost yet, so that probably means we're doing okay. We got about 16 seconds to get back for sub 410, so that'd be all right. No idea where to brake, so I wasn't paying any attention the last lap to where we broke. We'll just cut the track just a little bit, nothing too crazy. Through the last chicane of the 4 chicanes, and we will keep it out of the dirt just barely, and it'll be right at 409. So very happy with that, but definitely a worthy lap of a very special car like this. So I appreciate you all so much. I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you drop that like, sub down below. Don't want you to miss anything else from the GT4, Gran Turismo 4 car stories coming up, iRacing content, Camaro content, track day content, other racing games, anything else I may do. I appreciate you all so very much. But until next time, as always, bye-bye.